When you first start out and you see the mountain of stuff that you need to do to get something off the ground, everything from trying to get some money, a pitch deck, an MVP, partnerships. If you've got a good idea and try and figure out how you're going to measure whether or not it's a good idea, you only get there by doing it. And piece of advice I like to say is don't solve tomorrow's problems today.
This is Biz Ninja Entrepreneur Radio with your host, Tyler Jorgensen.
Welcome out to Biz Ninja Entrepreneur Radio. I'm your host, Tyler Jorgensen, and today we get to dive into a different type of entrepreneurship than what we've been featuring the last few weeks on the show. And I'm really excited to have Fran Meyer out on the show to talk about a company that she has created called BabyQuip. They are the #1 baby gear rental service for traveling families. And as somebody who has 4 children and went through the era of traveling a lot when they were little, I can tell you what an amazing need that this fills. So welcome out to the show, Fran.
Thanks for having me, Tyler. And you're a brave man.
Yes, I had a 2-year-old and baby twins, and we took them to Hawaii twice before they were a year old. And so trying to travel.
Best markets.
Yeah, trying to travel with all the stuff is fascinating. And so how did you come up with this idea? Was it something like what I just said, is like there's got to be a better way?
Well, I recall my children are now in their 30s, both of them. So it was a long time ago. I had left my last company, TrustArc, and had moved from Alameda to San Francisco to Potrero Hill area, coincidentally, and I didn't know it, up the hill from Airbnb. Okay. Bought a 3-story, skinny 3-story house in San Francisco, top floor, had 2 rooms with great views. I did not intend to do this when I bought the house, but because I'm an entrepreneur and want to learn more about things, I thought, hey, maybe I should rent a room in the house and see how that goes.
Sure.
So I started doing that about six months after I moved into my own house. So mid-2012, okay? And believe it or not, gig economy and sharing economy, all the stuff was relatively early, And when you live in San Francisco, though, you think you're late to the game when you're early.
Right.
Okay.
That makes sense.
It's weird, right? And within, I was making really good money. And I had people coming in and out of my house all the time. A lot of them worked at Airbnb. So I was they were picking my brain, I was picking their brains, that kind of thing. And it got me thinking about what's this whole new way people are traveling and this whole new way people are working, this gig economy thing. And what businesses are going to emerge out of this, right? And change is, as I know you know, is the lifeblood of entrepreneurial success. What's the change? So what can we do about it? In fact, yesterday, I'll do a little segue. I was looking at companies for StartX, Stanford's accelerator. Oh my God, all the AI. That's all we saw. AI. And that's not surprising to me. It was pretty interesting. Anyway, I was thinking about it. I was on some boards, and that was kind of fun. I was helping an accelerator aimed at women called Women's Startup Lab in the Bay Area. And a gal from Santa Fe, which happens to be my hometown, came in with this idea of baby gear rentals for traveling families. And she already had started in Santa Fe. And Santa Fe, it's a destination. It's not Anaheim. It's not Orlando.
Right.
And she was doing really good business. And so even before we finished our time together, I said, well, I should be your CEO, which was a little cheeky and aggressive. But it worked out well for her, I got to say, and for me. So she didn't say yes right away. And we started the company in May of 2016. And what I saw that excited me were a few things. One is There was nobody doing this nationally. There was no
Mm-hmm.
national brand at all. Second, nobody was sort of leaning into trust and safety.
Mm.
And I knew when my first startup was Match.com in the mid 90s. And Match became the number one brand by leaning into trust and safety.
Oh yeah.
And really, working at attracting women and making it, a nice, clean, well lit place. So we could touch on that later.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I like how you just casually mentioned that, right? So yeah, so I'd co-founded one of the largest digital dating websites in the world. But I want to zoom even farther back, Fran. I want to go back to the moment in your life where you very first realized you were an entrepreneur.
I'm not sure. I mean, I was really good at selling Girl Scout cookies, and in high school, I was selling timeshares, and
Not what I was expecting.
and my dad was a salesman. Yet I went to Stanford undergrad to study English, which I enjoyed, but in the end, I did a lot of economics and statistics and stuff like that and decided to go on to business school. While I was at Stanford, I started a frozen yogurt shop. Again, believe it or not, in 1981, frozen yogurt was new. Were you even born then, Tyler?
I was.
Okay.
I don't have any
Okay.
memories, but I was alive.
Yes. Okay. So frozen yogurt was big, big, big.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got out of business school, I went to the Clorox company for brand management, marketing, and that turned out to be excellent, excellent training for my internet career, which really was mostly marketing focused early on. And I think probably, I've had to explain to my children that the internet happened. And when the
Right.
internet happened, just like AI happened, like I know the moment I saw it. And at that point, I was working at AAA in Northern California, and I was in charge of membership. And I looked at, the World Wide Web, as we called it, right?
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, this is going to change everything. I just knew it. I mean,
Yep.
I think if you're paying attention, you knew it. And at that point, I went to my business school reunion this would have been 1994, had two small children. I connected with Gary Kremen. He had started this company called Electric Classifieds. That was to get newspapers onto our classified platform. But Match.com was going to be a standalone, mostly because Gary wanted to find a date, or so he says. And he wanted somebody with a marketing background, especially a woman, to lead it. And that's how it started.
Wow.
In a basement on South
So
Park.
a lot of your entrepreneurial ability comes down to your ability to sell and to understand like the friction of the client. So like in
Right.
Match.com, it was safety, right? I remember when Match started and it was very taboo to meet someone online, right? Now it's the only place people meet. But it was for a decade, it felt like there was still a stigma and people it wasn't safe.
Because newspaper personals were super sleazy.
Right.
And so we really had to distinguish ourselves from those. And the business model for newspaper personals were 900 numbers. And you'd have to call a 900 number to connect with somebody, and you get charged by the minute on the phone. Just like
Right.
AOL early on was all about how much
Yeah.
time you were online, right?
Yep.
So the newspapers actually sometimes put in very salacious and ugly ads to generate, basically
Calls.
lots of minutes.
Yes.
But it didn't really help the overall impression of the industry.
No, that makes a ton of sense. And so, yeah, there was a lot of people, when internet dating started early on that there was a lot of fear around it. And so you guys leaned it into trust and safety. And that's what you're doing now with BabyQuip. So how did you guys go?
From marriage to carriage, man.
Yeah, that's it. There you go. That's right. No one's fallen out of the tree at least. So that's good. So talk to us about where you guys are now. like how big is where are you guys at? How many
Yeah, so we
markets? And
started in 2016. We survived the pandemic. In fact, our Shark Tank airing was on March 6, 2020.
oh, wow.
Yeah, for a travel brand, that was not the best time. We expected everything to go up, instead it went down. When I say we, I was on the show with my son Joe, who joined BabyQuip in 2017. And let me tell you, there's not a lot of mom-son teams out there. You hear about
Yeah,
father-son, hear
it's
about
true.
brothers, maybe even hear about sisters. Mother-son doesn't happen that much. We've made it work now almost 8 years.
Very cool.
7 years this coming month. And so that was cool. So at this point, we are in well over 2,000 markets,
Wow.
mostly in the US, but also about 28 other countries. We really focus on Canada, Mexico, the Caribbean, Central America, because that's where Americans are going. Our
Yep.
supply is made up of about 2,600 plus quality providers, is what we call them. We're always leaning into that. And they are mostly moms. And so we are really teaching these gals how to become entrepreneurs themselves because they are building a business on our platform. So
Awesome.
we give them the tools they need to manage their inventory, manage their availability, price their items, price their delivery settings, look at their finances, pay their taxes,
Yeah. So you're
and get
following
paid.
you're following kind of the model of Airbnb, where the large, a large now provider of rooms doesn't own any of the rooms. So BabyQuip,
Right.
you guys don't own the equipment. You're providing
No.
a service between owners, people that own equipment and own the gear, and the people who need to rent it.
Right. And like you said, we're reducing the friction.
hmm Yeah, and
So
providing a safe place to rent instead of, going on to, not knowing if
Craigslist.
something is a real or a scam, or Facebook
Right.
Marketplace can be scary these days.
Right.
Craigslist seems to be used less and less now. And so verified and, trustworthy is such a huge thing, and simplicity. So if I was, so when you said March 2020, I was in Hawaii again. I don't actually go that often, but that's where I was. And I was watching the pandemic start to kind of come into the US, and things were changing and flights were getting canceled. And so now that everyone, the world is back to traveling, people are doing this. If you provide an opportunity not just for families looking for baby gear, but also for people to start businesses within, your platform, how does that work?
Yeah. So it's fantastic. I mean, we um, we get a lot of our suppliers, the quality providers, because they were customers and they thought to themselves, they can do it too. Um, we take them through an onboarding process where they have to really kind of show us they're committed to this and they understand it. We actually interview them just again to see if they're a fit
Good.
because we really are so committed to trust and safety, cleanliness, etc., hospitality, that we want people who are serious about it. In fact, sometimes we have to put people on a wait list,
Wow.
because we also want them to be successful once they launch.
Right.
And then our platform gives them all the tools. Now, let me just emphasize, this isn't for the mom who has a couple of extra strollers and a car seat. I mean, most of the quality providers own 3 or more cribs.
Okay.
And that's a good just benchmark for their commitment because a crib is expensive, with all the mattress and the
Oh
whole bit,
yeah.
right? So if they're, and it's exciting. One of the things that we've done for the beginning is we have a private community on Facebook, and it's fantastic, Tyler. They post photos of how they organize their garage or how they pack their car. They call it car Tetris.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure.
They celebrate milestones and they might say, hey, because of Baby Quip, I took my own family to Disney World.
Very cool.
Or I was able to quit my job and spend more time with the kids. And that gets to a very important point. This is one of the unique gig economy things that moms can honestly do with their children.
Yeah.
You know, They even post their kids helping.
Yeah. And so, I think that was really interesting that this isn't really for someone just renting out the stuff they already have. This is really, this is a business that people would invest into some inventory and some product. And that's why
Yeah.
you call them suppliers. And, how big are some of your suppliers?
Oh gosh, we've got some people, you know, typically in high destination, very
Yeah.
popular destinations, doing thousands of dollars a month. Maybe even around the holidays doing $10,000, $12,000. And they probably have helpers,
Yeah.
maybe even a van or a trailer. I mean, they're really doing big business.
That's cool.
Um, on average, our quality providers with orders are doing about $1,500 a month, and that money makes a difference to their families.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially, these days where everything seems to be more expensive and tightening up. And how do you guys handle, you have two sides of your business you have to manage. You have to make sure you have enough suppliers, but you also need to be finding customers. How do you balance that, kind of yin and yang of the business growth?
Well, it's yin and yang or yo-yoing.
Right.
One goes up and the other needs to go up.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, I'm not one of these. I'm an internet marketer, so yes, we're going to spend money on marketing. And I have to say, even now, so many years later, Google AdWords still works really hard for us.
Yep.
And because people are trying to solve a problem, so they'll even say rent baby San Francisco, and we know they
Yeah.
mean rent baby gear
Yeah.
or something like
Of
that.
course.
We do a lot of social media. We have about 500,000 followers. We have influencers who sing our praises all the time. We always disclose if we've given them the gear
Hmm.
that we've done that. But sometimes we have influencers who just talk about us anyway.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun. Um, Social media marketing. Lately, we've been experimenting with streaming TV, where you can
Hmm.
place ads on YouTube, Hulu, all kinds of streamers, kind of targeted, very nicely targeted to
Yeah.
families with kids. And what I like about it, and we make a big investment in coming up with videos, is that it's brand awareness, not just lead gen.
Yep.
We're very focused on having efficient lead gen. I've learned this throughout my career, and we really monitor how much we're spending. And we're trying to get to a metric of 3-to-1 LTV to CAC. And that means
Nice.
3-to-1 long term value of the customer. And that depends on how much they spend every time they come back
Yep.
and to the cost of acquisition of the customer.
Yep.
And we're making some pretty big improvements. The other thing that we're doing, I can't make a big announcement right now, but we're working with some very, very big players in the vacation rental space. And it's a win-win for them. It's a win-win for us. Their customers get the gear that they want. I knew as an Airbnb host and a Verbo host, I did not want to store, clean, be responsible for that baby gear. In
Yep.
fact, when I first started, I tried to be a quality provider myself. And there was a time I could not open up the stroller.
Right.
You know? And also families, especially if they have more than one kid or twins, they need lots of gear and lots of different gear depending on if they're a newborn or a toddler
Hmm.
or whatever. And so we really, I think, have fit a place in the market. The other thing I'm super excited about is we're going to start offering at the end of this year and more fully next year pet gear and
Ooh.
beach and outdoor gear.
Yeah, that seems like a really natural expansion of what you guys do. Especially, I feel like people travel with their pets so much more now than they used to. Um,
Yes, they do.
yeah,
And pets
and
are like family,
yep,
So there's not as much gear, crates, carriages, toys, beds, things like that. Outdoor gear and beach gear, though, I've rented when I've gone to Hawaii. We have that in common. I've rented from our quality providers beach chairs and umbrellas.
Yep.
Because I don't want to go buy that. I don't want to buy and dump.
Yes. Yeah, it's crazy how many people do that because, sadly it's cheaper than like renting from the hotel where they overcharge and it's a huge markup. That's fascinating. That's going to be a really exciting market as you guys expand into that. As you guys you've grown a few businesses now, and as you were growing this one, what was one of the first really big challenges that you hit, and how did you overcome it?
Getting insurance. Super hard. And I knew that insurance was really critical to our overall value proposition. Because, we have these moms, most of them own their own homes.
Mm-hmm.
If something were to happen, the potential liability for that is really high.
Yep.
And also, if we didn't have insurance, they would probably take orders off platform. In fact, a lot of customers ask our quality providers, hey, let's just do it off platform. And the quality providers are smart. They say, no, we can't do that because then there's no insurance.
Yep.
Now, I'm happy to say we've never had not even a claim. I'm knocking on wood.
Yep.
But we spend a lot of money on insurance, but it's not just money. We have to do background checks. We have to have inventory controls so we can pull an item if it's been recalled. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of, we have to train the quality providers on safety and cleaning. We do a lot to even qualify to spend over $500,000 on insurance. It kills me.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And these are the things that really separate you guys out from someone who's just maybe renting, like you said, on Facebook, where they don't have quality control. They're not paying attention to what's been recalled. They're not cleaning, or there's no oversight into how their cleaning is done. And so, like you said, I really think it comes back to trust and safety. If a family with young kids needs to rent something, they know from BabyQuip they can get it and know that it's going to be good.
We have a 93 net promoter score. You know what that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a measure of customers willing to tell their friends and family about your brand. And that's like, world class.
Yes.
And super proud of that. Probably the one number that I'm like, I have a business here, 93 net promoter score, you definitely have a business.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a demand. If people after using the service, they still want to talk about it. And
the other big challenge, of course, was getting through the pandemic.
Yeah. So obviously the demand plummeted during that time, right? How did you guys navigate that?
At the time, we were only 8 people in terms of full-time employees. We're 20 now. We all took pay cuts. Mm-hmm. We cut back the marketing. I brought in some funding that I wasn't sure I wanted. But once the pandemic happened, I'm like, I better bring in this funding. Yeah. And I closed it end of March of 2020. So that was like great. And for the first time in my life, I got government funding. Wow. Who knew?
Yeah. And so then was it just kind of a keep the costs low and ride it out? And then,
we did a lot of work on the platform because we could do that. And we actually did something kind of innovative. We introduced BabyQuip cleaning. So cleaning car seats and strollers for local families. And now that's only about, less than 5% of our business. But it told our quality suppliers that we were committed to helping them, make some money. And they knew how to clean baby gear, and clean was big during the pandemic. And I think it worked out well.
So right now it's 5%, but through the pandemic, what do you think percentage?
I can't remember anymore.
Yeah. But was it was significantly more than 5%?
Yeah, it was more because everybody was crazy about cleaning.
Yeah. And what a neat opportunity as a way to, even if the company isn't generating a ton of revenue, but to keep your quality, your suppliers actually generating money, keep money coming in. Because that's what people, I think, sometimes forget, is when it doesn't just impact the business owner or the main brand, it's all the suppliers downline that also have their lives impacted when something like that occurs. So, What as you look forward, with you've got new things coming, you've got new products or kind of sub markets you're going to be doing. What's if you could wave a magic wand and have one magic thing happen in your business tomorrow, what would it be?
Uh, Launching that big partnership that I'm so excited that I can't tell you
The
about.
secret one.
Yeah,
Well, cool. I hope that it comes together really
yeah,
quickly
so
and
do I.
smoothly. Yeah.
I think it will.
So, as we're getting towards the time, and I have two more questions for you. And so the first one
Okay.
is, you've been on boards and advisories and working with accelerators and startups. If there's, a mom or a dad or somebody listening right now who is considering starting something new, um, you know, piece of advice for what they should do in their entrepreneurial journey.
Do it.
It's true,
Just do
right?
it. I
It
mean,
doesn't have to work perfectly. Just give it a go.
no,
Better.
and honestly, what I often say is, well, here's the deal. When you first start out and you see the mountain of stuff that you need to do to get something off the ground, everything from trying to get some money, a pitch deck,
Mhm.
an MVP, partnerships, it's daunting. It's scary. The thing is that if you've got a good idea and try and figure out how you're going to measure whether or not it's a good idea. For me, early on in BabyQuip, it was how hard was it to get the supply and how hard was it to get the demand.
Yeah.
And we saw pretty fast that if we put people in a market, there was demand. Okay, so that was very reinforcing. So try and figure that out. But you only get there by doing it. And a piece of advice I like to say is don't solve tomorrow's problems today. Just focus on putting one step in front of the other.
It is amazing how much energy worry takes from people
Oh my
without
God.
providing any
Yeah.
value back, right? There's enough problems in front of you. Stop thinking about the ones that aren't in front
Right.
of you.
Right.
All right. My second question is, I'm a big believer, and we both talked a little bit about travel, and your business is built around that. But I'm a big believer that business is, if it takes away from your life completely, like that, it's not working. That you need to have lifestyle freedom and ability to do things. There's going to be times and seasons, but what is one item on your personal bucket list, not work wise, that you're going to accomplish in the next 12 months?
Oh, wow, Tyler, I went through a really tough 12 months. A year ago, I lost my stepmom. I lost my dad in January. I had lost my mom a couple years before. There was a lot of complications. In the end, good for me with the estate, but you know, and I just bought a new house, and I just after that year, I'm just looking to enjoy it. Enjoy doing some travel,
Yeah.
enjoy my new home, just kind of bring down the stressors
Yeah. So
after a year
important.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. We can lay, we can fight through those kind of times for a season, but you need that time to balance it
Yeah.
back out and
So I'm really
relax. And
focused now
yeah,
on personal care,
good.
you know, and
Yeah.
and and having some good times.
All right. One destination that you haven't been that you'd love to go and travel to.
God, I've been hearing a lot about Iceland.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Great
kind of
stuff.
thinking about going there.
Yeah.
We don't
That,
have any quality providers in Reykjavik or however you.
yeah, Reykjavik.
Yeah, we don't have any
Yeah.
yet, but maybe by the time I go, we will.
It's a rapidly growing destination for Americans. So
Yeah,
lot more going
I've
on.
never
So.
been to Costa Rica too, and my mother's father's side is from Central America. I've been
Oh,
to
wow.
Panama and Mexico, and so Costa Rica seems
All
like a
right. Well, you
complete
got
opposite.
some places here on your bucket list to hit some new
Yeah,
destinations. I'm looking forward to hearing about it. Fran, thank you so much for coming out on the show and sharing your experience and what you guys are doing over there at BabyQuip. Please check out babyquip.com and pay close attention. It might be some big announcements coming soon
yeah,
over there.
exciting.
So to all my biz ninjas, wherever you're listening, watching, tuning in, it's your turn to go out and do something.